On August 26, 1939, a doubleheader between the Cincinnati Reds and the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field was broadcast as an experiment by New York City's NBC station. This would mark a milestone in the history of sports broadcasting. Today, sports broadcasting is a multi-million-dollar industry spanning almost every sport at practically every level imaginable. Technology can bring us to a visual and audio quality that almost rivals being on the field, with angles and details that viewers in 1939 could never imagine. But it all started with Major League Baseball's first broadcast, which helped pave the way for baseball's popularity and sports viewing itself for years to come. So how did baseball go from a sport almost synonymous with innovation to a sport fans can barely watch? Let's start at the very beginning. Except for a handful that are broadcast nationally on Fox Sports or ESPN, most MLB games are televised through a regional sports network, or RSN, which broadcasts locally to a specific media market or geographic location. RSNs act as a sort of middleman for sports viewing. They buy the rights to the content from the content owners. In MLB, that's the individual teams, usually at prices in the high millions. They take that content, package it up, and once it's ready, distribute it to cable, satellite, or streaming providers. Though RSNs pay a high upfront fee, they make their money back in advertising sales, affiliate fees, licensing agreements, the list goes on. The teams win, as they get their games broadcast without much upfront investment and get paid a premium price to do it. Cable and satellite providers win, as they can now offer the games as part of their premium lineup. And RSNs win, as they're making money on both ends. And all of this worked really well for everyone involved. Until now. At the height of cable TV, the only fans that were really left out of watching MLB were out-of-market fans who couldn't access their team's regional network. That wouldn't last forever. In 2022, the media landscape changed forever, and you probably didn't even notice. In the latter half of the year, for the first time, over half of American homes chose to watch TV through streaming services, making cable and satellite TV the minority. Most of that half is made up of young Americans, many of whom have never had their own cable subscription and very likely never will. The major shift in TV watching wasn't a surprise. The wave of cord cutting had been brewing for decades. Ironically, a contributing factor to the cord cutting boom was brought, in part, because of RSNs. Remember how RSNs sell their content to cable and satellite providers? Broadcasting deals are kept very private, so it's hard to have the latest numbers. But we know back in 2012, the broadcasting fee charged by RSNs to cable providers was around $2 to $3 per subscriber per month. As you can imagine, as that fee started to increase over the years, cable and satellite providers started offsetting that RSN fee to their subscribers. Sometimes even subscribers that didn't even opt in to the premium sports coverage. For example, in 2013, the Dodgers signed a deal with Time Warner Cable, now part of Spectrum, to launch the new Sportsnet LA channel. This deal was valued at $7 billion over 25 years. Great for the Dodgers. Not so great for cable subscribers, who were handed a $5 surcharge to subsidize the deal. Those fees were just one example of a long list of fees cable providers were using to offset costs. As more and more subscribers started to balk at these rising prices, they turned to streaming as a way to get content at more reasonable prices without signing a lengthy contract. Coincidentally, while the wave of cord cutting was getting started, in 2002, MLB once again led the industry in an innovation that would be the first of its kind in sports viewing, MLB TV. And while the new streaming service would become a gold standard for sports streaming, it would also become the gold standard for something far more controversial: blackouts. MLB TV, the league's streaming service which costs subscribers $149.99 a year or $29.99 a month, does not allow subscribers to watch games for the market they're in. So let's say you chose not to have premium cable in the state of New York. Both the Yankees and the Mets, along with a few others, won't be available via streaming service. If you're in Tampa Bay, same goes for the Rays. But let's say you're a Yankees fan that lives in Tampa, and we know you're out there. Lucky for you, you can catch most of the Yankees games safely from your home in Florida. That is, until the Yankees play the Rays. Then that game will be a mystery to you. There are two main reported reasons for the blackouts. First, having blackouts gives the RSNs exclusive rights to MLB broadcasting, in theory, making it a better deal for them to buy the rights at a higher cost, which brings in more revenue for the teams. The second, and more questionable, is that MLB wants fans to go to stadiums instead of watching the games at home. This could make sense if blackout areas were within typical driving distance to stadiums. The thing is, they're usually not. Take Tulsa, Oklahoma. A fan in Tulsa is blacked out from watching Kansas City Royals, Texas Rangers, Houston Astros, and the St. Louis Cardinals. That same fan would have to drive 4 hours to get to Kansas City or Arlington, 6 hours to get to St. Louis, or 8 hours to Houston to watch that game. And remember, it's not just games for those teams that fan can watch. So let's say that fan cheers for the Boston Red Sox. Anytime the Red Sox played any of those 4 teams, our Tulsa fan would be out of luck. What we end up with is an MLB streaming service that effectively makes it impossible to watch all of your favorite team's games, whether you're in a reasonable vicinity to your team or not. Of course, to avoid blackouts, fans can subscribe directly to their team's RSN streaming platform. For Bally Sports, which owns the rights to 12 different MLB teams, the most of any RSN, that subscription would cost $189.99 a year or $19.99 a month. But as the price of broadcasting increases and the viewership goes down, is sports broadcasting still a lucrative business for these RSNs? I don't know. Ask Diamond Sports Group, the owner of Bally Sports Regional Sports Networks, who filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in March of 2023. In a filing from 2024, Diamond noted that cord cutting robbed RSNs of 22 million subscribers, 35% of their customer base, since 2019. The future is uncertain and bleak for the RSNs in control of MLB TV rights, and with it, just might be the hopes of MLB. It turns out that 23% of revenue from local media is the highest among professional sports, with the NBA at the second closest with only 13% of its revenue coming from local media. But let's get specific. It's hard to pin these numbers down as a lot of the deals are done privately, but we have some data we can track. Before Warner Bros. Discovery announced they would shut down or sell their RSNs by the end of 2023, they held the rights to the Pittsburgh Pirates. In that time, Warner Bros. Paid the Pirates $61 million a year for their broadcasting rights. It turns out, in 2022, their team payroll was $61.2 million. So what happens when you take the RSNs out of the equation? In 2022, they were viewed by an average 28,000 households, which meant Warner Bros. Paid $2,179 a year for each household that watched the Pirates. Not a bad deal when you consider they made money through fees and advertising. But remove Warner Bros., and each of those 28,000 households would have to pay $182 a month for the team to generate the same $61 million that they got with Warner Bros. Without the revenue of the local broadcasting rights, it's fair to say that the Pirates team will look really different right now. But that's not all. We have to consider the cost to MLB in terms of relevancy. It's no secret that the health of baseball as a sport is often in question. Part of this stems from wondering whether it's still relevant today, among other growing sports that might be seen as more exciting, like UFC, Formula One, and mainstays like NFL, NBA, NHL, MLS. And while some of these may be blown out of proportion, the numbers don't lie, and they tell a concerning story. The 2023 World Series was the least watched World Series of record, coming in even lower than the previous low record set in 2020. Overall, postseason viewership was down 8% last season. A recent survey by the Washington Post painted an even more concerning picture. For adults aged 18 to 29, the rankings for most popular sports were football, basketball, competitive video gaming, soccer, and then at the very bottom, baseball and auto racing tied for last. Does keeping the sport behind unreasonable blackouts help? Particularly when you consider, as mentioned, that most young Americans have never and will likely never subscribe to cable. For these potential fans, how does blacking out entire states keep baseball healthy? How do we get excited for postseason games with teams we've never seen play because, for most of the year, we can't? There's lots of arguments about changes to the game that could be made to make it more interesting and grab back some of the audience we've lost. New rules, pitch clocks, new jerseys, it's all irrelevant if we can't even watch the game being played. So is there hope? In February 2024, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred was reported telling owners he wants to launch a direct-to-consumer streaming service in the 2025 season. To make this happen, Manfred believes he needs the digital streaming rights to 14 teams. Currently, Diamond Sports Group retains the digital rights to 5 MLB teams. MLB has the rights to 3. Will MLB be able to acquire the last 11 they need to make this happen? If they do, Will it fix the issues that have plagued baseball for the last couple of decades? Will another player, like Amazon Prime, which helped keep Diamond Sports Group afloat, jump in to save the day? Or will streaming get more and more complicated? There's still a long road to go before we really know the answers. But what we do know is something needs to change. Not just for us fans, so we can actually watch a game we love, but for the game itself. Because it's kind of like hearing a tree fall in the woods. Does baseball even matter if no one is around to watch it? If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video. There's certainly a lot more to be said about blackouts and RSNs and all the complicated details therein, but we want to keep this video just to the most important details. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. We are going to be putting out more videos about baseball like this. We just put out a video about pitch counts that was really fun. Link to it should be somewhere up on your screen now. So yeah, thanks for supporting the channel and for watching this video. Please leave your thoughts below about blackouts and RSNs and what this means for baseball. You know, are we overblowing this? Is it not an issue at all, or is it actually more of an issue than we're making it out to be? We'd love to know your thoughts and what you think would be best for the future of baseball. Thanks.